In MuleSoft, like whenever we want to develop REST API, okay, so first thing, like we need to configure how we will expose our API as a REST API. Okay, that will be first thing. Second thing, what is the purpose of developing the REST API? So we want to do some data transformation and we want to consume some external services. Correct? So if we want to expose our API as a REST API, so how we can do that in MuleSoft? So for that we have HTTP connector. Okay, so first we will understand about HTTP connector in detail. I hope everyone has setup of this Anypoint Studio. Is there anyone who don't have setup of Anypoint Studio? Okay, so everyone has Anypoint Studio setup. So first thing what you need to do, you need to go to File, then New, and then New Project. Here you need to provide the project name or application name. So I will provide this one as a name I have given to my Mule application. So here we have option like if you want to create a REST API using YAML file, then we select any of these three options that we will discuss in later. Okay, so when we will work on the YAML file, then we will discuss in detail like how to create YAML file and how to use those YAML file. Okay, and once you provide the application name, once you provide the YAML detail, at this moment we are going to create REST API without using YAML file. So here you need to click on finish option. So it will help you to create a Mule application. Okay, so now my Mule application is ready. And within this Mule application, I want to develop one REST API. So as I mentioned, if you want to develop any REST API, so first you need to expose your service as a REST API. So for that purpose, what we will do, we will use the HTTP connector. So here you can see HTTP connector is there. In HTTP connector, we have multiple options like operations. Out of those four operations, listener is one of the operations which we use for exposing our API as a REST API. Okay, so I will drag and drop this listener. So you can see here, automatically one flow will be created. And within that flow, we have this listener. If I delete this listener, still we have this flow. Okay, so in MuleSoft, whatever logic or component you want to define, you must need to create either flow or subflow. Okay, so either flow or subflow you need to create. And what is difference between this flow and subflow? So in flow, you can see we have source, processor, and error handler. But in subflow, you can see only one option is there, that is processor. So whenever you want to develop or do anything in MuleSoft, so first thing, either you need to create the flow or you need to create the subflow. These two drag and drop components are here, like flow and then subflow. So you can drag and drop here, this component will come. And what is difference between these two components? It has source, processor, and error handler, and it has only processor. Okay, so what you can understand from here, if you need any entry point, for entry point, we need source. Okay, so if we need any entry point for our logic, what we are going to define, you should have source. Okay, let's say I want to expose my API as a REST API. So in HTTP, I will use HTTP listener. And this listener, if I will try to drop it here, see, it's giving red cross. That means we cannot define this listener here since listener is entry point or source. Okay. And this subflow don't have source. Okay. So it will not accept. But if I will try to place it here, so we can put it. So everyone clear with the concept of flow and subflow? Okay. Hope everyone clear on this. Anyhow, we are going to do lots of things on this flow and subflow, and later on we will have very detailed discussion. Just to understand on high level what is flow and subflow, I did this small, uh, like a small thing. Now, our objective is here. I want to develop one REST API. So for that purpose, I need HTTP connector. Okay, this HTTP connector, and I need operation as a listener. So I selected that. So here you can see once I will drag and drop, I'm getting red dot here. That means some configurations are missing here. That's why it's giving. But you can see here once I boom by cursor, it's saying required fields and something are missing. So if I click on this, so you can see here few places you are getting cross symbol. So these are mandatory data which you need to provide. Okay. Apart of that, we have many other property and configuration are there, which is not read. That means those data or things are not mandatory. Okay. So mandatory thing we must need to configure and and other things based on our requirement, business use case, we need to configure it. Okay. Now coming to connector configuration. So first we will click on this plus symbol. So here to define any REST API, we need this four detail. Okay. So for this, actually, I think few people, you haven't joined my one class where we discuss about what all things we need, but still let me double check if I save it somewhere. Okay, let it be. I will explain here. So here, whenever we want to expose our REST API as a REST API, so four things we need to configure. That is protocol. Okay. So this protocol will be used whenever we do data transformation on internet. At that time, we need to define the protocol. And on internet, there are two protocol which widely used. One is HTTP, another one is HTTPS. Okay. So at this moment, let's go with default protocol that is HTTP. Second thing, host. Okay. So host means like when you are deploying your application on internet, which IP you are going to deploy your mail application, which location? IP is location of internet. So when you want to deploy your application, so you must need to have some location where you will deploy. So that is your host, and port is within that location. There will be some space. Okay, that is port. Okay, so if at this moment we are going to use local host, that is our I'm going to deploy this in my system. That's why we use localhost. But if we will deploy on internet, we need to provide the IP address of internet. Second thing, port. So in every laptop, we have multiple ports, and out of those ports, I am going to use 8081. Okay. So if you want to make sure at this moment this port is available or not, you can click on test connection. So this will tell you like that host and port what you are trying to use to deploy this application that is available. So if you click on test connection, if it is successful, that means this location is available to run this application. Ideally, it should not take this much time, but maybe if your system is slow or something, then it might take more time. So let me try to make this test connection again. Okay. So maybe I need to restart my system to fix this issue, but let it be. Okay, since my system is completely empty at this moment, I am not using this port, I'm sure. Okay, so I will use 8081 only. Other thing, we can keep it default at this moment and click on OK. So what we did for this HTTP listener, we created one configuration where we provided which server and which port we are going to deploy our application. And then we need to provide the base path. Okay. So this path will help, like within that port, this application will be deployed, and within this application there will be multiple resources or API. Okay, so how we will uniquely identify those API using this path? So let's say I will use demo as a path. Okay, so if someone will call using postman, like if someone will call localhost 8081 and slash demo, then they will able to call this service. Okay, so request will come to this listener. Now, once we will receive that request in listener, okay, so what we will do? Generally, what we do some kind of data transformation and we pass it to some other system. Correct? So what is the purpose of API? So API will accept the data, it will do required transformation and it will pass it to some other system. Okay. So let's say here I will use some dummy system which is available on internet. Let me try to find some. So here, this is one API. Stop object by ID. Let me use this one. So you can see here when I'm calling this API, so this API will return object one ID3, another object of ID10. Okay, it's returning two object. So what I will do, I will call this API. Okay, let me see any simple API. Let me use this delete one. Get post is there, add object. Okay, this is also fine. Add object will be more simple one. So I want to call this API and we need to pass this data. Okay, so this API need this data. So what I will do, ideally that API, what we are going to call from our API, need this data, but our API is receiving something like this. So here, what difference you can see here? In request, we are getting first name and last name, but the system we are going to call that accept only name. So in that case, what we need to do? We need to do some kind of transformation to change this data from this format to this format. Okay. To achieve this kind of activity, what component we have? We have set payload, that is one component, and other component we have transform message. Okay. So we'll discuss about both component in detail, but at this moment, let's go with transform message component. Okay. So when you will select this transform message component, so it will ask you to provide some detail. Okay, so what all detail you need to provide here? You need to provide, you need to write the data wave script. Okay, so in this data wave script, you can see it's divided into by this 3 hyphen. On top of this hyphen, whatever you can see, that is the header part of data wave. And whatever you can see below this, that is data wave script you need to write here. So in header part, first thing comes, that is data wave version. Okay. So by default, you will get data wave 2.0, but we have different version like data wave 1.0 is there. So if you want to use 1.0, then explicitly you need to change it here. But by default, you will get 2.0. Second thing we need to define, that is data type. So after this script, whatever data will come, that will be in Java format. Why it will be in Java format? Since output we have defined as a application Java. But if you see here, it's expecting the JSON payload. So here, instead of application Java, we need to convert in application JSON. Okay. Now this part is done. Now here in this transform message, I need to accept this data and I need to transform into this format. Okay, so for that, what I will do, I will do all the required mapping. Okay, so in data wave script, we do required mapping. So what will be our mapping? It will start from JSON object. Okay, so first thing, we have JSON object, it's already there. Second, we have first field name, that is name. So we have this name. Okay, but if you see here input is getting first name and last name. So how I will read this data, first name and last name? So here, whatever you can see, all this data is known as payload. Since we will receive this data as a payload. So in this name, I need to concat these two data, like first name and last name. If I will add, then this will come, correct? So what will be our syntax here? Payload dot first name plus payload dot last name. Everyone getting this? Since this data is part of this payload, okay, this data is part of payload. Half data is coming inside first name, half data is coming in last name. So I want combination of these two. So what will be syntax? Payload dot first name and plus payload dot last name. So here syntax will be payload dot fname. And if you want to add string, then it will be 2 time plus. Second will be payload dot name. Okay. Now there will be comma. What next we want? We need data. So we'll put data. And within data, we need this structure. Okay. So within data, what is first element? That is year. Okay. Now, Alekia, can you tell me how I will get year from this payload? To read the year from this payload, what will be syntax? Alekia, are you there? Yes. So please tell me syntax to read the year from this payload. So Alekya, make sure when you are joining this class, you are. So this, I don't want this kind of excuse from next class. Okay. Please make sure if you are joining the class, then you are actively available here. And whenever I'm asking anything, you are immediately replying. Okay. And Pallavi, thanks for replying, but I know you know things. So I will come to you when complex thing will come. So for basic things, I will involve other people. Okay. So Manish, tell me what will be syntax.
Yeah, Ravi. Payload.date.year.
Date or data? Payload dot data dot
Yeah,
year.
data.year. Yes.
Okay. So here inside the year, I want to map this year. Okay. To read this year, what will be syntax? So first payload, then data, and within this data, we have this year. Okay. So anyhow, like for JSON payload structure and all, we will learn in next class. In tomorrow class, we will learn about the structure and all. So maybe at this moment, for few people, it might be completely new if you haven't seen the JSON payload. But if you have idea of JSON payload, then if you want to retrieve the data, syntax will be within this payload, we have this data. So payload dot data, and within this data, we have this year. So payload dot data dot year. So syntax will be payload dot data dot year. Okay. And if we have any next element, then you should put comma. Okay. So next, what we need? We need price. Okay. So Bhavani, can you tell me what will be syntax to read the value of the price?
It is payload dot data dot price, Ravi.
Yeah. So payload dot data dot price. Okay. And here next we have CPU model. This one. Actually, I want to see this CPU model. Let's say we don't need this data. Every time it's not mandatory, like whatever data we are getting, we must need to pass all the data. So next we have CPU model. So what will be syntax for CPU model? Let me check with Prachi.
Yes, sir. Payload dot data dot CPU.
Dot CPU.
Sorry, CPU model.
Okay, now Pallavi, tell me what I need to use. Actually, here you can see within this CPU model we have space. So what should be exact syntax, correct syntax? Now Pallavi, you can tell me either Pallavi, Mukesh, Sai. Here you can see this CPU model has space. Okay, if I will write payload dot data dot CPU model, it will not work. What Prachi mentioned. So as per her level, she tried best, but Pallavi, Mukesh, who else are there? Sai is here or not?
Yes,
Your
Ravi, I'm
syntax.
here.
So Pallavi, your syntax will not work. So can anyone tell me if there is any space here? Then how I will read this data? What will be exact syntax to read the CPU model? No, Pallavi. No one has idea. How we will read the value of CPU model? Like I want to read this data. So what will be syntax for that? Praveen, can you tell me? Titiksha, yeah, you can go ahead. Titiksha or Praveen? Okay. So if any special character will come or anything will come, okay, in that case, what we should use, what we should do, we should use single inverted comma. Okay. And within that, you need to put the value. Okay. So here we have CPU space. Everyone clear with this? Since here we have special like space, if I will not use this space, it should give error. Let me check first. Oh, it's working. No, it's giving error. See, it's giving error. So in that case, what we need to do, we need to put inside single inverted comma. Then this will be treated as a single string here. Uh, this side also. Okay, now you can see there is no error. So everyone clear with this? This is not very common scenario where you will get this kind of thing. But if you are getting, then you should have idea how to handle it. Sometime, if field name match with any special character, in that case also you need to put that inside single inverted comma. So I saved it. So to develop this REST API, first thing I did HTTP listener. This listener I used to expose our API as a REST API. Then we used the transform message. Transform message we generally used to do data transformation. And what kind of transformation I did? I converted this data format into this format since my target system need this format. Okay. Now, what I want to do, I want to call this API. Okay, actually, let's push this hard disk. I'm not sure without this it will work or not. Okay, let's see it's working or not. Otherwise, we need to add this field since this API is someone else created. Let's see if it will work without this. Otherwise, we'll add this field also. Okay, so now our request data is ready and we know this URL. Okay, so if you want to call any REST API from your Mule API, then what you need to do? You need to use the HTTP connector requester operation. Okay, so again for HTTP connector requester operation, so first thing you need to select, you need to define the configuration where it will contain the target service, host port and other detail. Okay, so here click on plus and here protocol is HTTPS and then host. So here you can see everything is in domain name. Okay, if you will get domain name, you just need to define that domain name inside host. You don't need to define anything in port. Okay, so protocol is there, domain name is there, and after that you need to select the method. So which method this API will support? This will support post method. Okay, so here I will select post method and then I need to pass the body. Okay, this body I already created. When I created this body where I stored inside payload. Okay, so here, so you can see here, this transformation I did and I stored inside the payload. Okay, so here in place of body, I will define the payload, which is already there. By default is there. But if you have some other requirement, you can change it. Now I will save it. Okay, anything is missing here?
Path.
Path. Okay. Yeah. So in path, I need to define the path. So our path is slash object. Okay. And you can see here, everything will come here. HTTPS API, RESTful API .dev .objects, which is same to this one. Okay. So now everything is ready. Just save it. And now this API is ready. So I created very basic Mule API. Okay. Where I'm exposing this API as a REST API. So I used HTTP connector. I did require data transformation, and using HTTP requester operation, I am calling some external API. Okay. So objective of this API to get the data and call one external API. Everything is done here. Now I will deploy this. So I will click on run project. So what it will do, it will start the integrated Mule server, okay, to run this application. So we'll wait for 2 minutes to complete this processing. Meanwhile, if anyone has any query, let me know. If anyone has any query, let me know. If not, then our application is like this application deployed successfully. I can test this application. So to test this application, again, you need to understand all this thing from here, what we define. Path is slash demo. Path is slash demo. And what other detail we need to provide? Protocol will be HTTP. Host will be 4 times 0 dot 0 dot 0 dot 0, and port will be 8081. Okay. So I will open the Postman.
Ravi, like the listener, we are giving HTTP as default, right? Like,
Yes,
but in
HTTP.
requester, we are taking as HTTPS. So
Okay.
will that like work or
Yes, yes. So here you need to understand. So
okay?
when we are exposing our API, we are free to do anything. We are going
Okay.
to use HTTP protocol or HTTPS. Okay. Since we are developing our API, but this API is already developed using HTTPS protocol. Okay. So here we cannot change. But when we are defining our API, we are free to use HTTP or HTTPS. Now,
Uh-huh.
that part we will discuss on later, like why we should use HTTP, when we should use HTTPS. Those things we will discuss later. Okay.
Okay.
So first thing, HTTP 0.0.0.0, port was 8081 slash demo. This is the path. Okay. And in body, we will select the raw data. And here we will select the JSON since we have JSON data. And now we will go here. We will copy till this point. Why we are not giving payload? So what we are defining here, that will come inside payload. When it will go to Mule, it will come inside payload. That I will show you again. Okay, later. So now I will call this API. cannot send request. While testing API locally, you need to use the Postman desktop agent. You currently have different agents selected. Download desktop agent. All this. Oh, this one. Sorry, let me do one thing. What happened with this? Okay, so HTTP local 0000808 demo, and inside body we are passing all this detail, and I will click on send. What it will do, it will call that API in everything. If everything is good, then we will get 200 success response. Okay, and we call that particular system. Okay, let me see. Let me do one thing. So from there we should get this created at this. Okay, but we are getting something else. Successfully reconnected. Okay, let me do in this way then. Let me start in debug mode. Then I get clear idea. Okay, let's do one more thing. So here we receive the request, we call that API, and after this also we'll put one transform message. Okay? And whatever transform message whatever response we will get from there, we will map this response here in payload again. Okay. Now I will start this into debug mode, and if you will select any component except the source part, if you select any component and if you do right click, then you will able to see one option as a add breakpoint. Okay, what it do? If you run your application in debug mode, we have two mode to run the application. One is run mode, another one is debug mode. If you run your application in debug mode and if you add a breakpoint, so whenever you will call this API, whenever request will reach here, it will resume the processing. Okay, so we'll see, like once deployment is done, okay, I will go here, I will call this API, and if you come here, see, it received, the listener got this request when we call this API from Postman. Okay, since we are calling this address and this port with this resource name, so we developed our API and deployed on this location. So our API received that request. Now we have this, like we have breakpoint here. So our service got resumed here. Okay. So what this component will do, it will take this payload and it will convert that payload using this script. Okay, as a result, we should get this data. Okay, so if I click on next, here you can see next component, click on this. So now you can see our payload will change. Okay, now payload is coming till CPU model only what we have defined. Okay, now our control is on this component. So if I will click on next, then this component will execute. Okay, so Okay, so first thing we'll see what response we got from there. So we got this response created at, okay, we are getting correct response then. Okay, we are getting this ID. Okay, ID. Then we are getting name Apple MacBook Pro created at this, like that is created successfully, and other detail like year, price, and other detail we are getting. Okay, so what we are doing with that response? What response we got from there? We are converting that response into JSON format. Okay, so I will click on next. Everything is completed now. So this response will be sent back to listener, and listener will send back to from where we are calling this API. So from where we are calling? From Postman. So here you can see ID is this, name is this, created at this time date, data like this. Okay, so here I created very simple REST API. Okay, and what this REST API is doing, it's calling one another third party API to create a order detail. Okay, whatever this is, create a object. Okay, so it's creating one object inside some external database or something that we don't know. Till this point, everyone is clear? Everyone clear till this point?
Yes, Ravi.
Now let's try to understand what is happening internally. Okay, so let's say this is our Mule API, and this is Postman. Okay, and this is our third party API. Okay, so when we did request from here, what happened? Request will come to HTTP listener. Okay, this is our HTTP listener. Whenever we are making request from Postman, we are calling this address. Okay, where our application is running, that is 4x08081/demo. Okay, there we have our application. So listener will receive that request. After that, what listener is doing? It's doing the transformation. So first transformation. Okay, after that, what this is doing? It's calling one HTTP requester operation. What this HTTP request will do? It will call this third party API. Correct? Okay, and from there it will receive the response. Okay, let it be. So from there it will receive the response, and then what it do? It will do another transformation. And once this transformation is done, there is nothing to do. So what that last component will do? It will call the HTTP listener. It will pass that control to HTTP listener. And what listener will do? It will reply to the calling system. In this way, this data communication will happen. Okay. Now, whenever this will make request to this HTTP listener in MuleSoft, what will happen? Okay, this will be internal thing. Mule node will be created. Okay. And what will be structure of this mule node? This part will be very important. Okay. You people need to understand. So each mule node, what will be created, will have two part. Okay. So first part will be, it has three part. Uh, Let me think how we will differentiate it. One will be like this entire thing will be called as mule message. But generally we don't use this term message part. So you people will not have much idea, but I will explain like how you can use the message. Okay. This message is further divided into two part. One will be payload and another one will be attribute. Okay. And this attribute is the attribute part. This attribute is further divided into three part. One is query parameter. Second one is URI parameter. And third one is header. Okay. Now let's try to understand this part. So whenever someone will call REST API, okay, whenever someone will call REST API, what all things it do pass? It pass the URL. This is the URL which help us to uniquely identify the API. Okay. A part of this, what we pass body. Okay. This body is nothing but when this node will be created, whatever data you are passing in that body, that will go inside the payload. That data will go inside payload. And whatever you will pass inside the param, that is query parameter, or whatever you will pass inside the header, that is this header, or whatever you will pass inside the URI parameter. URI parameter we define here. All the query parameter, header, and URI parameter data will go inside the attribute. Okay, so whenever you are calling the REST API, we are passing this four data inside the request. You can say this is the request data. One we are passing, that is payload. Another one we are passing the query parameter, URI parameter, and header. So these three data will go inside the attribute, and this payload will, and then this body will go inside payload. Okay, so payload will hold the data of the body. Query parameter will hold the data of the query param. URI parameter will be hold the data of URI parameter, and header within the attribute. Okay, sorry, this three within the attribute will hold the data of those query parameter, URI parameter, and header. Okay. Now, if you want to access this payload, so your syntax will be, so for this payload, your syntax will be either like it support two syntax. Okay, generally like we use one syntax only, maybe you people. So either it support message dot payload or it supports simple payload. Anything is fine. In database, if you will pass message dot payload, In database, if you will pass payload, both will give the value of this body, what you are passing inside the body. Okay. Now, if you want to access any of these three, how you will access? Attribute. Okay. So let's say I am passing one query parameter here. That query parameter name is API key. Okay. So Manish, tell me what will be syntax to read the value of this API key query parameter. Here, to call this API, I am passing API key inside these params. And this value is, let's say, 123. If I want to read this value 123, what will be syntax, Manish?
Yeah, Ravi, attributes dot query parameters dot API. Query params dot API
Attributes, 1 minute. Attributes dot
dot query params
query
params
params
dot
dot
API.
API.
API key, yes.
API key. Okay. Okay. So if you want to read this, retrieve the value of this query parameter having name of API key, syntax will be attributes dot query params dot API key. Okay. Now, Praveen, tell me, do we have any alternative syntax for this to achieve same thing? Can we write any different thing, or this is the only option? Praveen, are you there? Praveen, are you there or not?
Yes, Ravi.
I'm not sure. Like when we are taking this class now for everyone, like please try to be active. Okay, if I'm asking anything, to unmute yourself, hardly it will take 5 to 10 seconds. Okay, so please try to reply things faster and try to make this class a bit interactive. So what I'm asking, do we have any other syntax apart of this attribute dot query param dot API key? This is the one syntax Manish has told, and this is correct. If I want to read the value of query parameter, so this is the one syntax. Apart of this, is there any other possible syntax is there?
Actually, no idea, Ravi, for me that one. The second syntax.
If you have taken this class seriously, no, then you should able to answer this. Yeah, I know you people like you, Mukesh, Pallavi, know this MuleSoft, but like the objective of adding you people in this class, here I'm going to do share some deeper knowledge. And that part you people are lacking, so you people need to learn that part. Okay, it's not like just be a developer. Now you need to learn and you need to be senior developer. Okay, so like whenever I'm taking class, try to take it seriously, and many things I will share very new thing which you might not have idea. Okay, so let's try with other. Sai, will you able to answer any other syntax?
Message dot inbound properties.
Yes, correct. So just now I share this detail. So Praveen, if you have taken have listen what I am saying. So how we are reading the payload? Okay, so for payload we have two syntax: payload or second syntax message dot payload. Same thing. This attribute is also part of this message. So what will be next syntax here? Message dot attributes
Attribute
dot query params
dot API
dot
key.
API key. Okay, so both are valid syntax. If you will ask what is more appropriate syntax, then second syntax is more appropriate syntax. But MuleSoft, like even if you will write first syntax, MuleSoft will able to understand. They have designed their compiler in such a way. Okay, so both is fine. Now, Ramni, can you tell me if I want to read any header? Okay, let's say I want to read any header having name authorization. Okay, if I want to read this value that is inside the header authorization, so what will be our syntax?
Yeah, it will be attributes dot header dot authorization.
Attributes dot headers
Header
dot.
dot authorization. The name.
Okay, so this is correct. So second syntax also you can write message dot
Yes.
attribute dot
Message
header
dot
dot
attributes
authorization.
dot headers dot author.
Okay. Now third one like URI parameter. So same way syntax will be attributes dot URI params dot whatever URI parameter name is there. Let's say ABC or something. So in this way you can read their extract their value. And what will happen when this mule node will be created here? If you are updating those data, then mule node will be updated with this data. If you are not updating, then same node will be passed to next component. Okay. And here what we are doing, we are updating the payload. Okay. If you see here in this transform message component, we are updating this payload. Correct. So what will happen inside this mule node? What is the current payload? Current payload was something else. Here payload was different, but this place, this payload will be updated with this payload. What script we have written here. So this payload will be updated here and same mule node will be moved here. Okay. Now, Mukesh, tell me in this mule node. So here we have this request. We are passing this request. Okay. Mukesh, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So this is our request payload for this API. And
Yes.
when we are calling the external service,
Yes.
we are calling the external service, this one. Okay. No, not this one. This one.
Yes.
Let me call this external service. This is post call. We will not able to. Yeah, we can call this from post mode. From browser, you will able to call only get call. So post call we can do. Bad request.
Trying to create out.
Okay, we need to pass body.
Body.
We need to pass. Okay, so here, first thing, this is the payload what we are passing to our API. Our API, that means Mule API.
Yes.
Okay, this is the first payload we are passing to our Mule API. And
Yes.
this is the payload we are getting. This is the payload we are getting when we are calling the third party API. From there, we are getting this payload. Okay.
Yes.
And this is the payload we are getting from our API, like after this transform message, correct?
Yes.
So my question is here, in this particular mule node, when we will complete this component, okay, which payload will be stored here?
HTTP requester.
HTTP requester, yes. Which one? Get one, post one. Which one I need to go?
You need to call get one.
Okay, I need to go to get one. So here we have two payload. So at this particular mule node, okay, once we will complete the processing of this, then
Yes.
what will be payload inside this mule node?
Then, yeah, what we will get in result, that one.
This one.
Yes.
Okay. Mm, means this is correct, but like this is incorrect also. Okay, anyone can give better answer. See, this one is correct since we are not doing any transformation. But if we are doing transformation, so anyone want to answer some better answer?
Yes, Ravi, which whatever the requester, whatever we get from the requester, that is a payload that is overridden, that overrides the previous payload.
Yeah, so actually, when we are calling this external service, from there we are getting this payload, okay? So this payload is there in this node. Okay, when we have this mule node, after processing of this component, what payload we are getting from this component, that payload will be here. Okay, and after that, once mule node will move here, then here we will do some transformation, but in actual we are not doing any transformation. So payload is as it is, and that is this payload. Okay, since this is the last mule node, whatever payload you will have in this last mule node, that payload you will get as a response. Okay, and what is reason behind this? To understand that part, we'll see here. If you go to listener, if you go to response, so in response you can see our response body is payload. Okay, so while processing this mule components, whatever last payload will be there, that payload is this payload. Okay, when we are responding back, so here inside the body we are passing the payload. So whatever last value your payload will hold, that data will go as part of response body, that is this response body. Okay, but if you will change here this payload to something else, then you need to pass, you need to form that data and you need to send back. Everyone clear till this point, or you have any doubt? Okay, so now what you need to do for everyone, like this will be 1 hour assignment. I will send this diagram. So similar kind of diagram you need to create, okay, based on the assignment what I will give. And every place in each component, whatever your mule node will contain, okay, inside payload you will copy paste that data. Inside these three you will copy paste that data. Everyone clear with this? Let's say in first mule node, what will be our payload here? The payload will be this. This will be our payload. And what will be query parameter, URI parameter, header? For this API, actually, we don't need. I just forcefully added this thing, but we don't need this. Okay, so we don't have anything. Header also, we don't have. Header content type will be by default. So only content type is there. So you can go to bulk edit from here and just copy paste this. Okay, and this will be your header. Okay, this is your first node. Now remove this thing. Or what you can do, put this arrow on top of this node. Okay, and copy paste this. Everyone getting now what I am trying to say here? What is your assignment?
So can you please repeat?
Okay. Okay, let's put two box simply. Okay, should be fine. Okay, otherwise type here something like this. It's not coming. Payload, and whatever payload you have. Okay. And then if you have any query parameter, we have only one header here. Header will be this. Okay. Your node structure will be this at this moment. In this place, like you need to create a bit bigger diagram. Okay. Here you are doing transform message, so your payload will change. Header will be as it is. So like that, you need to put the data what your mule node will contain at that moment. Okay, so you need to create this diagram with how many components you are using. So your assignment will be, let me try to take some different. Nothing is posted. Let me try to find some other portal. Okay, this is also get method. Create a new user. Can anyone find any REST API which support the post method? Pallavi, last time you used the weather API that support the post method or what?
Pallavi left.
Yeah, it's Ravi. It supports the post method. Weather API. I think everyone has created the POC on that only.
Then let me use something else. Object, update object. Use same resource. Anyone able to find any API? So user get user only. Okay. So this API is there. User ID this. Oh, this is performing Git only. User ID 1, ID 101, title created successfully. Okay, this is working fine. Okay, so when you will call this API, third party API, Okay, and when you will pass this data, okay, so this user will be created and you will get response. Okay, now let me do a small change here. Okay, this is your API detail. Let me capture that API detail first. I will explain this. Let me capture everything. So this is payload for your third party API. Okay, and this is the URL for your third party API URL. And what method it support? It will support post method. Okay, so this is detail of your third party API. Now coming to your API should support resource name as a user. Okay, resource name will be user and query parameter will be one will be user ID. Sorry, ID. Only ID will be your query parameter and that value is something one. And then URI parameter. URI parameter will be a bit difficult for you people. So let me change it for header. Ideally, it should be URI parameter, this user ID, but I am making it header. Okay, since URI parameter handling is a bit different, and I'm not sure you people are new, so might face some challenge. And other part will be body. So this will be your request body. So for your API, resource will be /user, should be /users. Query parameter is ID, header is URI ID, sorry, user ID, and this is your body. And for that third party API, which you will call from your API, for that, this is the resource detail, this is the URL, this is the method, and this is the request body. Okay, now you need to do required transformation to change data from here to there. Okay, that you need to do by yourself. So everyone need to develop one REST API. You need to expose one REST API, which will take this input. It will call this third party API and as a response. Okay, this is request body and your response body will be although we are passing ID, it's creating its own ID. Okay, let's see. Right, 9998. So our ID doesn't matter for them since they are creating their own ID. So user ID is only matters here. Change it to post. Okay, every time it's returning 101 in the, so should be fine. Then in that case, we even if we will not, but for learning purpose, let it be. Okay, and your response should be message success. Code 201 and ID. Okay, this ID should come from this payload. Okay, when you are calling this third party API, from there you will get response, and from there you should get this ID. So your value should be 101, since every time it's returning 101. So your ID should be this. Now tell me, is there anyone who is not clear with this requirement? Your API resource name is user. You need to pass the query parameter and header like this. Request body of your API is this, and response of your API should be this. In between, you are calling this third-party API with this URL and this method, and from there you are getting this. This is the request you need to pass them. Whatever response you will get, that is fine. From that response, you need to take this value while creating your API response. Anyone has any query, you can ask. If not, then you need to develop this API now. If any query, you can ask quickly. If not, everyone, please develop this API right now. So first, this is the REST API you will develop in MuleSoft. This is the detail of third-party API. Any concern now, like in terms of your laptop setup or anything? Prachi, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
So your laptop setup and everything is done?
Yes, sir.
And what I explained, you understood everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please do this development. At least I will check for your you did everything or not.
Yes, sir. But can you please, sir, repeat once again? Means exactly.
So if you haven't understood, then why you haven't asked me? I'm asking you, then you are asking what is the question.
Sir, at the means before end of the session, I tried to.
Prachi, I'm not sure what the way you are going now. At the end of this 3 months, you will not learn anything. So here, this is our API detail where when you will expose your API, resource name should be this, or you can say path will be this. Query parameter of your API will be this, header will be this, and request body will be this. And once your API will respond back, response should be this.
Fine, sir.
This is your API detail. Now, internally, like in your API, you will call this third-party API. For that, URL is this, method name is this, and this is the request payload you need to pass to call that API.
Okay, sir.
And here, your API response, you can see this ID. So this ID should be mapped from the response of this third-party API. As part of this response, you will get one ID that should be mapped here. Other thing, you can hardcode this too. Is it
Okay,
clear?
sir. Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Else has any doubt on this part?
No, sir.
Other people, like anyone has any doubt on this part? If no, then like right now it's a 6:41. Okay, so I think 1 hour should be good enough to complete this. Okay, so everyone need to complete this by 741. Okay. And once you will complete, Praveen, please help to validate with everyone. Okay.
Yeah, sure, Ravi. Yeah.
So once you will complete, then you will ask Praveen to validate. Okay. And Praveen, whoever will complete, just keep posted here.
Okay, I need to post in the same page, Ravi.
Same group only, like as in this same channel only, like this one has completed.
Okay.
So Siksha, you have your exam from 7:30. Okay, then you can leave. Okay, but once you will done with your exam, you need to complete this assignment by today only. Is it clear? Or let's do in this way. Okay, this is weekend also, and maybe someone might have some plan or something. Let's do in this way. Then you people need to do this assignment tomorrow morning. Okay, if you are free, you can do now, but you need to submit this assignment by tomorrow 12. Okay, 12 p.m. like afternoon 12. And Praveen, by 12, like you need to check all the assignment and you need to inform me.
Yeah, okay, Ravi.
Okay, yeah, this like today is Sunday also, so I don't want to hold everyone since might be you people have plan. Okay, but like yeah, actually, for your part, okay, you need to take things seriously since within 1 month your work will start. Okay, so you need to be ready. So whenever you are getting anything, so you need to try to complete as soon as possible. Fine then. So let's connect tomorrow then by 12. Okay, and I'm stopping this recording. So this recording will be available on same channel. So you people will able to see this recording if you want to watch again.